Well, it's election day, finally. I'll let you into a secret, I'm not actually voting today. For the first time, actually, usually I at least turn up, and I spoil my ballot paper a lot of the time. If you don't do that, then actually, and you don't know this, when you spoil your ballot paper, they are counted as votes, but they're considered spoiled votes. And they do usually read them to the candidates. I remember when I've been a candidate in the past, they call up all the candidates at the count to the front and they read you all the spoiled ballot papers. So they have to sit there and show you and read off these things that say, you can't trust any politician. You're all a bunch of... And they just read them to the candidates. So, if you ever can't decide who you're going to vote for, do write a message on the ballot paper because the candidates will hear it. But this time I'm just not voting at all. It's not worth my bleeding time, frankly. There's nobody on my ballot paper that deserves my vote, so it's not happening this year. But I thought today I'd just quickly look at some of the parties that you're probably likely to vote for. Now, I'm assuming that not many of you are going to be voting Tory. I actually voted Tory last time, I'm willing to admit, just because of Brexit. And I know, Theresa May's not really following through with Brexit. But it was the only chance we had. Usually I don't like tactical voting, but last time it really was a matter of Brexit or no Brexit. And at least we got a shot with Theresa May. But this time there's a few parties that I imagine you might be voting for, one of them being UKIP, with its new leader Gerard Batten. It's an interesting one, UKIP. What do you think? Tell us in the comments, actually. What do you think? Is UKIP dead? Does UKIP still have a role to play? It's an interesting one because they've got Gerard Batten now as leader, who's great on Islam, but is it too little too late? A lot of people are unhappy with the way UKIP treated Anne-Marie Waters during the election contest when she was called a racist and a Nazi. Gerard Batten didn't come to her defence, which surprised me actually, because he's always been quite ideologically on par with Anne-Marie. So by no means a bad leader, I'm sure, but it'll be interesting to see whether the electorate still see UKIP as a viable vehicle. There's an article here from The Independent. Virtually dead, UKIP puts forward 75% fewer candidates for local council elections. The party's obviously struggling. And last time they were wiped out in the elections. But back then, in the last council elections, they had Paul Nuttall doing his best Farage impression with his flat cap and his tweed coat. So, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how Batten does. Let's see how UKIP does. Then there's the Democrats and Veterans Party. Now, this was a party that was registered with the Electoral Commission in January this year. It says on their Wikipedia, it intends to field 321 candidates in upcoming local and national elections. Now, upcoming, does it mean this set of local elections? I know they don't have 321 candidates. I think it's just a handful. And it got a lot of coverage when it formed this party. There was this article in the Daily Star entitled, bear with me, it was entitled Army Vets on March with New Party. A veteran of the Iranian embassy siege has formed a political party to fight for the rights of British ex-servicemen. And it was formed with John Rhys Evans, who ran in the UKIP leadership contest in the same one as Anne-Marie. So it will be interesting to see how they do. The chairman is Gavin Felton, the leader is John Rhys Evans. Some people have pointed out the interesting thing with this party, the logo. You may well remember the John Rhys Evans gaffe when he talked about how a gay horse raped his donkey. Let me just check this. Gay horse John Rhys Evans. Let's see. Yeah, John Rhys Evans on the gay donkey who tried to rape my horse. So there was this scandal about John Rhys Evans saying that a gay donkey tried to rape his horse, and the logo of his new party is a donkey with a flag. Maybe not the best option, maybe not the best choice. But, a party started with good intentions. They stand for direct democracy, they're Eurosceptics, and they believe in protecting and doing the best by the veterans. So that's good. It's all very well and good. There's also a party called the British Union and Sovereignty Party, and I only heard about these because somebody contacted me over the last few days asking if I'd do an interview, and I'm very sorry I couldn't do it because it was all the way up in Scotland and I couldn't quite make it. But it seems to be a unionist political party up in Scotland fighting the SNP. It says on their website, Following on from our very strong result in the Fortysat by-election where we defeated the SNP and polled a quarter of the vote, we've finally been able to implement a name change which has been in the pipeline for a few months, yada yada yada. So they call themselves the British Union and Sovereignty Party. In the year and a half which we used our old name. So their old name was a Better Britain Unionist Party. So these are staunch Unionists in Scotland. Very best of luck to them. And I'm sorry to the people that wanted me to interview them. So that's interesting. It will be interesting to see whether the Unionist vote can split away from the Tories up in Scotland, because I know the Tories are doing surprisingly well up there these days. Do you remember there was the old joke that there was more giant pandas in Scotland than Tory MPs? Well, it's not true anymore. So let's see. So we've got that party. And then, of course, there's For Britain, which is Anne Marie's party. Anne-Marie Waters I've known for many years, and I'm actually quite impressed with the progress of the party. She's been posting a lot recently about the activism and the campaigns, and there's a lot of people turning up to go out leafleting with the party. So now really For Britain's goal is to really try and take on UKIP. I mean, really, let's be honest, there's only one space for a party like this in British politics. UKIP could well fill that void again if it picks up in the polls. But it's going to have For Britain and other political parties, maybe Democrats and Veterans and things like that, snapping at its heels. So For Britain is standing, I believe, 15 candidates throughout the country. Leeds, Sunderland, Hartlepool, all over the place. So it will be an interesting time, actually, because for Britain and for the Democrats and Veterans, this is the first elections being fought by these parties. So it'll be interesting to see the willingness of people to move over to smaller parties. It'll be interesting to see just how well they can do with a short amount of time. They've not been registered all that long. And whether there's really room for a new party to take on UKIP. So we'll see. So other than these parties, if you can't think of anyone who you're going to vote for, who you'd like to vote for, if you're one of those unfortunate people who's just got Labour, Tory, Liberal and Green on your ballot paper, which is just all too common, maybe consider two things. Consider spoiling your ballot paper, write a rude message on there if you like, or consider a good local independent candidate. That's always a good way to go, actually, with local elections, in my personal opinion. It's up to, your vote's up to you, of course. But independent candidates, some of them can be good, some of them can be bad, but if you know somebody who's standing as an independent, or you have an independent, look at what they're talking about, because sometimes that step away from party politics can be really good for a local community. So remember, today, voting day, make sure you get out and vote. If you like that and want to see more, remember to like and subscribe and download the new Rebel app from the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store.